Saint Faustina Kowalska, a seemingly ordinary Polish nun of the early 20th century, found herself chosen to unveil one of the most extraordinary messages of mercy the world has ever known. But behind her quiet demeanor lay moments of hair-raising mystery, spine-tingling visions, and a force of faith so powerful it defied the skepticism of her time. In this journey, we will step into the flickering candlelight of her convent, peering beyond the veil that separates the mundane from the supernatural. Helena Kowalska was born on August 25, 1905, in the remote village of Głogowiec, Poland. From the start, her life seemed destined for hardship. She toiled alongside her siblings on a modest farm, laboring in fields under brooding skies. Yet there was a current of intrigue running through her simple world. At night, Helena would lie awake in a rickety bed, heart pounding at the sound of mysterious whispers carried on the wind. Sometimes, she spoke of shimmering lights dancing in the corner of her tiny room, or of a presence that filled her with equal measures of dread and awe. As her family dismissed these tales, believing them to be childish flights of fancy, Helena's isolation grew. She would slip away to a small prayer nook, her trembling hands clasped, pleading for clarity. The more her parents urged her to ignore these odd experiences, the more intensely they pressed upon her soul. Faint apparitions, hushed voices calling her name, it all pointed to something beyond the edges of everyday reality. At 19, Helena claimed to experience a moment so electrifying, it felt as though her entire being was consumed by unseen flames, a sensation like lightning racing through her veins, igniting every nerve with a trembling urgency. She described it as if a voice, both thunderous and whisper-soft, commanded her to abandon everything she knew. Sleep became impossible. Each heartbeat rang in her ears, echoing the call to seek a convent. She rose before dawn and slipped out of the house, the last vestiges of moonlight casting eerie shadows on the dirt road to Warsaw. The city itself buzzed ominously, as though it sensed her arrival. Helena knocked on convent doors, her heart hammering each time. Most turned her away with cool indifference. Some, outright suspicion, asking how a poor farm girl with frightening stories of visions could ever fit within their orderly cloisters. When the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy finally admitted her, relief and foreboding mingled like two swirling currents. She took the name Sister Maria Faustina, embracing the life of devotion she had risked everything to pursue. Yet, tension simmered within the convent walls. Many nuns traded wary glances at Faustina's unsettling aura of mystery, whispering of devils and trickery. In the face of rumor and doubt, Faustina clung ever tighter to prayer, finding fleeting peace in the hush of the chapel. One cold February night in 1931, Faustina knelt in her cell, the air heavy with expectation. Suddenly, the lamp flame sputtered, shadows snaking across the walls. In a breath-stopping instant, she saw Christ standing before her. An otherworldly glow radiated from him, casting the room in ethereal brilliance. Crimson and pale rays shot forth from his heart, illuminating Faustina's quaking figure. She later wrote of an overpowering mixture of terror and bliss. Terror at the magnitude of the moment, bliss at the compassion she could feel emanating from him. Yet in that same instant, her body trembled uncontrollably, tears gathering in her eyes as she fought to steady her breath. Faustina felt as though time itself had slowed, every sound muted, except for the rush of her own pulse. In that transformative encounter, she realized that despite the shock and uncertainty, She was consumed by a sense of deep belonging and acceptance. This was just the start. The visions didn't stop. They got stronger and stranger. Sometimes her cell filled with the scent of lilies and roses, a sign that something heavenly had entered. Other night, she was jolted awake by cries, desperate, tormented voices begging for mercy. It shook her. Faustina's descriptions of angels brimming with solemn purpose and shadowy forms lurking at the edges painted a vivid tapestry of realms just beyond normal sight. These weren't dreams. Faustina saw angels with serious faces and felt dark shapes watching from the corners. She was touching something just beyond what most people could ever see. In the dull glow of pre-dawn hours, she scribbled these encounters into her diary, her pen shaking with reverence and fear. Word spread through the convent like wildfire. Some nuns were quietly enthralled, drawn to the possibility of divine wonders unfolding in their midst. Others recoiled, suspecting that Faustina's experiences were demonically influenced, or simply the fantasies of a fragile mind. Her superiors seemed uncertain how to manage such explosive claims, subjecting her to probing interviews. Eventually, with the help of her confessor, Faustina was introduced to artist Eugeniusz Kazimierowski. She met with him personally, and with careful detail described the posture of Christ, the rays emerging from his heart, the gentle gaze that held both justice and mercy. Though unsure of his ability to translate such a mystical image, the artist listened closely as Faustina conveyed the scene exactly as it had appeared to her. The interviewers, for their part, grappled with supernatural phenomena they could barely comprehend. Some were visibly unsettled, caught between skepticism and the eerie sense that they were brushing against something far beyond the natural order. As 33-year-old Faustina's vision soared to breathtaking heights, her health descended into a harrowing decline. She coughed up blood, her strength ebbing away, yet still her diaries pulsed with stirring accounts of hidden realms. These final years were a crucible of pain and transcendence, intensifying the mysterious undertone of her life. Late at night, she claimed to encounter Christ in her fevered dreams, reassuring her that her suffering served a higher purpose. Then, as morning arrived, she found it nearly impossible to stand without assistance. Haunted hallways outside her infirmary whispered stories of her questionable sanity. The entire convent on edge about the strange nun who claimed to glimpse heaven and hell alike. Faustina hovered between two worlds, battling her flesh's decay and a calling that would not relent. Her final days were a testament not only to endurance, but to unwavering trust in divine purpose. She taught us that suffering, when united with faith, can become a vessel of mercy for others. In 1938, as tuberculosis ravaged her body, her breath grew shallow and her eyes burned with both fever and conviction. She spent her last hours rallying her sisters to believe in divine mercy. Certain that God's compassion knew no bounds, soft sobs echoed in the corridors that night as Faustina spoke her final words. A hush fell upon the convent when she passed, the only sound a muffled prayer for mercy.